Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to you, Vice Chancellor, Deans, all my colleagues and the visitors here who are here, and especially those people who I'm seeing for the first time. So I'm going to talk about something pretty broad, something very close to my heart, but there's a very important message. I'm one of the few mavericks that has already tried to cross the boundaries. I'll show you some different models of working, especially when you look at my name. Prophetically, my grandfather named me as far away. So this middle character means far, and this is a place. So that was about 40 over years ago. So now I'm here in Sweden. I'm from Singapore, but I spent lots of time in Australia, the US, etc. So it could be this is like the Holy Land. Finally, I'm almost there. As you could see from my pictures, I'm a colorful character. So this is why I'm here. So my background is actually zoology, more closer to entomology. So this is where, by working in different fields, your ideas are actually enriched. And this is why when I come over to BT department, I was actually very, very happy. But when I look at some of my colleagues, some of them are pretty stressed about grant applications, salaries, and all that. So I'm exactly here 6 months, and I realize there are good things and also not too good things. But together, we'll work together, just like the crabs here, to overcome all the issues if we can move in one direction. So when you look at all these crabs, they actually gives you very interesting, what I call analogy, but also gives me a lot of opportunity. So this is phosphate mining in Australia. So there are always challenges, like even Luan, who pointed out, it could be because we are over-reliant on monoculture. Laura talks about all these cross-disciplinary issues and all that. So these are issues that we could definitely overcome in time, just like these crabs that have been here on Christmas Island for millions of years. Okay? So I became the accidental soil scientist. I'm actually a biochemist. But because of the need to do plant production across many, many challenging environments, this also gives me the inspiration. When I talk to my colleagues, Hokan, Kaliwan, Siri, Marlin, that we're going to bring horticulture out of its traditional boundary, which is actually the inspiration of my time in Australia. I'm from Singapore. Life is comfortable. Why am I working in the desert and holding microbial solutions and trying to get things to grow? So this is the sort of enriched experiences that I have that actually is, giving me some new inspiration to lead the group. So to all the colleagues here at BT department and perhaps to the faculty, I'm going to drag everyone out of horticulture, everyone in agriculture, and we're going to do more things. That means I'm going to move the traditional boundaries of horticulture out to serve, for example, people in forestry, as well as in urban landscapes. So the urban landscape part will be discussed at the later part of my talk. So we have we have very good practices in the horticulture context, lots of good techniques in agriculture. But as what all four colleagues have talked about, we are all living in silos. But the real world comes in a holistic thing. But our subject area, subject matter expertise are in individual silos because that's how university is governed. That's why I'm in Sweden, to run away from top-down Asian countries, right? That's what we alluded to this morning. So I'm going to pull my colleagues, especially those in HPF, we got to do more. We got to go up to Uppsala to help the forestry people because we do plant production better than the forestry people, right? I know I stir a few, so that's good. So this is the typical Swedish plant production, but surprisingly, these actually starts off their life in Vietnam. And because of labor costs, they get shipped over here. So every time you see this at IKEA, you must thank me, because I'm the one who brought it to you. It used to be 10 times the price. If you go to IKEA at Malmö, you have the largest, store. My wife is actually here. So she's going there after today, or the thing, to look at IKEA. So how do we get the price so low that, this expensive orchid is almost affordable? And these are new orchids that the Dutch have not gotten it. And I was telling my colleagues, we're going to bring things that the Dutch could not do, so that Sweden horticulture, agriculture could be ramped up and to be as strong as what they have in Netherlands. So this is why you have the orchid industry person in me. So that was the early part of my life. So the secret to lowering of production price comes in micropropagation. And the bulk of this is actually the cost of the medium, the mineral nutrients, the phytohormones, etc. And there are ways to actually overcome it. And this is none other than the humble coconut. Coconut is actually discarded in Asia, but when I got over there, I asked them not to throw this over and put them into tissue culture. And thereby, you do not need to buy any medium from Europe. I'm referring from an Asian perspective, or from USA. So this drastically reduces the price per unit production. So that's the secret to controlling costs using natural materials. So Laura talks about this, and this is where the Asian perspective is important here. The companies, even though the research has not been done, they dare to go ahead. If they have a Panama wilting disease, they will try biocontrol agents, even though there are no papers. There are no papers, but because of the desperation for fruit production, the industry goes ahead of the conservative researchers. Because the researchers, we are constrained by, I realize, $3 million grant. You have to define everything. But I have a playground. Because I live in Singapore, I take the budget flights, I go out to the whole of Asia, and to test out the ideas, and then bring back to the lab to do the follow-up thing. But this may not be the case for Europe, where you have a lot of system in place. So the Asian environment, the Australian environment, is a little bit more cowboy town, to let the scientists test out the idea, and then you go back to the dean, Hokan, I need 5 million. 4 months will not give me. So this is the difference. And this is not only for the, the thing. Look at the thing. I would drag all my horticulturists to do this. Because after the tsunami there, including Swedish people who passed away, all the replanting failed because the ecology is, while they love the environment, they do not know how to do plant production. So this is where I changed the whole face of horticulture in Asia. I pull all the horticulturists out of the comfort of glass houses and into the natural glass houses like this in Thailand. All right? So this is just to tell you we have to do national service in Singapore. Sweden should also start doing national service for the gentleman. So these are unique plants, none other than horticulturally produced. So you can actually bring horticulture to service restoration, to service biodiversity needs when there is a call for it. All right? So when I showed this, everyone was surprised. Is this horticulture or this engineering? So I look at Lisa, I look at Thomas, and Thomas, thank you for inspiring Singapore and all the Asian countries about park development. So this is a top-down approach. They have destroyed the mangroves, the budget is there, and we really set up. We brought the nursery out to the environment, out to the forest. And from Laura's perspective, or from Luan's perspective, it has to be a multi-species, or within the species we have different cultivars to ensure maximum survivorship, the minimal pests and all that. So we had no papers, but we used common sense and general principles to push the projects forward. And this is the result, and every time when you fly into Singapore, you must thank us. Because of the mangroves, the airport stays afloat. The very important Singapore airport that you flies in. So we are the people, and thanks to mangroves and the coconut water. So what is sustainable plant development? So the key point is here, as what Laura talks about the interactions and all that. So these are the various metabolites that Luan talks about. And in principle, I will focus on one or two of them, like cytokinins, gibberellins. These are phytohormones. Let's get some inspiration. What do you understand by natural soil fertility? You look no further. Charles Darwin was the first one. But if you look at the literature, nobody defined soil fertility using a mass spectrometer, a GCMS or a LCMS. So we are the mavericks again, getting money. It was difficult, but we managed to find it. So the two key things, you have fertile plants, and these are often associated with fungus. So then we got a specialist in earthworm. When I look at Maria, I'm very happy. We are looking at stuff like GCMS, LCMS. So all the horticulture people were actually surprised that we are actually putting all this organic stuff through the mass spec. And we are lucky. And we found, most important, the growth factors. So these are 10 to 100,000 times lesser than your regular nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. All right? And we found growth-promoting substances, especially for roots, present in earthworm compost. And to add on to my colleagues who are talking about plant diseases, these biostimulatory compounds also have biocontrol. But for today's talk, I focus on the growth part, much lesser on the disease-resistant part. Okay, that I did not spend much time. Partly, we do not have the money to do that. All right, so in summary, you collect the poo from the earthworm, you go through very delicate preparation, and everyone knows this. This is your most important rooting powder. So when you have earthworms sitting in your field, your plants develop better roots because it has natural auxins. The stomata, the chloroplasts are stimulated because you have natural cytokinins. It's as easy as that. But you require very strong chemical analytical tools to do this. All right, we are not the one. There is huge competition coming from Germany and Czech, and they, with better budget, more postdocs, actually could find other important groups that we are not able to find because at that time we do not have a very good mass spectrometer. All right, so this is the core that we need to have advanced analytical tools, even though we are a predominantly agriculture landscape sort of university. All right, so just a quick definition, and this is the hottest area right now, partly because of last year's Christmas legislation that was passed by European Union, where organic fertilizers could be freely traded if you can manage the heavy metal, in the particular case is cadmium, which is about below 60 parts per million. So this could be the new revolution that we are actually predicting. And those of us at BT, we are actually very, very happy. So some loose definition, and colleagues working on control, some of these compounds may actually have your, what they call pest-resistant properties, etc., etc. All right? So I'm very lucky. We have, in Singapore, this lady, extremely gifted chemist. We published. So this gave the base. And now I'm very fortunate over at SLU. There is a student that is actually following up on the work. So in Asia, if you don't drink this liquid, you actually throw it away. But that liquid contains all the expensive phytohormones that you have to pay hundreds and thousands of euro to Sigma Chemicals every time you order through the catalog. Okay? So these are the papers just to show you that, you know, even though this is a very simple thing, you require very, very good analytical chemistry to do that sort of thing. All right? So if the hormones are not important, why are companies adding hormones to their regular chemical thing? I can tell you honestly, because I work with the industry, actually the industry knows that organic works, but they could not tell everyone. Okay, and this is on a label of a very reputable company. Of course, they won't tell you which particular hormone. They just put it, you know, hormone genetically. All right, so in summary, The bugs, what are the bugs giving? The bugs are actually giving growth-promoting substances. So how do you prove it? We'll show it to you in a short while. So we think that the importance of organic agriculture, the rich natural soil fertility actually increase the pool of growth substances. And this gets delivered to the plant. And from the plant control perspective, it actually boosts the immunity. So plants grown under organic conditions, all right, tends to be less susceptible to disease. So we have not worked that out. But right now, we are sorting out the growth part, where it is actually promoting growth by regulating the cell cycle, as well as better stomata control through the cytokinins. All right? So this is actually presented as a plenary talk earlier at Prague in 2016. All right? So we have to do all the basic things. So you could see microbiology coming in. All right? Very advanced instrumentation. So you cannot buy this off the shelf. So if you want to do breakthrough research, you have to be the super technician, the super engineer, and build toys. And this is where I got the very nice 2 years fellowship at MIT. We are one of the crazy biologists that are actually functioning as engineers, building tools that you could not buy off the catalog. All right, in order to answer the fundamental question, when you add some bugs into the soil, does it comes up to the leaves? And this is a petiole of a cotton, and that sort of thing. So in Australia, this is where Graham Farquhar, our former supervisor, maintains that craziness, where we still have a big team of instrument makers supporting the institution. Whatever you cannot buy offline, we'll build it. All right? So we have done the usual sort of thing, you know, different inoculation, different time, and sample the liquids and all that. And this is the proposed, and this has just been accepted. And I'm very happy it's an SLU address. I have a look at Hokan. So this is the current mechanism. What is actually missing? And this is where we have to respect the organic people. They got it right. But the organic people are a little bit like hippies. They don't use mass spec, right? So the word organic in Sweden is called ecological, I realize. So this is where the organics, they are doing right. They are good practices that we can incorporate from the organic people into conventional. So in other words, the organic people are actually giving the actual stimulation to drive. It is like the appetizer. So the end product is that when you have biostimulation, you actually use less nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So the organics people got it right. But they did not dare to let the good science to look through all their data. So that is the limitation. So that signaling is that bit. So to summarize, I hope I'm a bit crazy to bridge the gap between the truly organic and the truly conventional, to find a hybrid system where we better use the thing. So this is from the science paper. He has written to me. We are thinking of an opinion article that these are all the goodies that are happening. What is missing are the signaling between the microbes and the plants. Everyone knows organics, it grows well, but nobody is asking, what are the microbes? Whether is it a fungus or is a bacterium, what are they actually giving to the plant in return for their symbiotic photosynthetic carbon? All right, so just a summary on this bit. Essentially, what we have actually missed out, and this could be the fourth green revolution, and the European Parliament timing is great. Last Christmas, biostimulants is already official. So from our perspective, we think that the third criteria for a good fertilizer is that it has to contain substances. The substance could be a microbe base or a organic base. It could be humic acid, it could be fluvic acid, etc., and etc. That actually helps in biostimulation. All right? So this is the part that we have applied for FOMAS. We are not sure whether we will get it, but we are very proud of all the Swedish urine that we are collecting at Uppsala. Okay? And Swedish urine could be the natural biostimulant for the real Swedish circular economy that I hope to promote. All right? So this is just to tell you, the puzzle is still there, the race is on. So this is where I'm leading the team of colleagues. Hopefully we could contribute to the understanding of cytokinins, which is actually the most important group of phytohormones. All right? And phytohormones present in your food. So because of Liana, she invited us. So we are starting cooperation with Lund University through the SLU food program, where the phytohormones in your vegetables, it actually affect your well-being. So that is the key thing that we are actually driving right now. All right, now to link to Thomas and Lisa, a quick one. This is my little boy. He's home alone because mommy is here. Singapore is very industrialized, but we work so closely. So this is a part I must really thank Thomas. His calculation impacted all the Asian cities using the Copenhagen model. So I'm the person, the crazy botanist. One day I'm measuring photosynthesis. Next day I'm hugging Lisa, all the architects and landscape architects. Okay? So we've identified trees through rapid programs of cultivar selection, so that each of these not only looks green, it removes a certain chemical. All right? So the bulk of Southeast Asian oil is actually refined here. So just think of all the Indonesian oil from Brunei, from Indonesia, from East Timor, from all the places between New Guinea and Australia. They come to this island. But what we do as horticulturists, the green horticulturists, is that we find plants that are able to filter out in order to improve the livability of adjacent plots. So this is where we are crazy, and Lisa, you will love us. Whatever pollutant you have, we have a plant species for you. And we are starting to do it from Malmo, all right? Because I'm still not familiar with temperate plants. So this is that sort of thing that where the people at BT should give to the landscape people. Guys, these are the plants. If you have this specific pollutant, in terms of chemistry, we have that solution, that sort of thing. The interface between the horticulture people and the architects. So we have done all the systematic testing. All of this have been published. And this is the basis of another grant that we applied to Bangladesh with Naslin, where she is tackling both refuse, a lot of rubbish, as well as arsenic. Bangladesh is a country with arsenic problem. And we got a simple horticulture solution. Plant this at home, your water is saved from arsenic. All right? So these are the workhorses, the root cells together with one fungal inoculation could actually enhance the arsenic sequestration so that at the end, the whole family would have clean drinking water without going through any central municipal cleansing system. All right, so these are all your students working. And thanks to Kaliwan, we now have one of this at SLU. Okay, so this is that crazy person. This is the first course that was certified by MIT to be able to run in Singapore. So it's ecology plus biodiversity and the scary part for me, urban, because every time when I look at this, I get confused by the architects. Wow, they call this a studio, okay? So look at the crazy lab that we set up. So together with the architecture friends, we have to set up a hybrid lab. While we do good research, we have to train the next bunch of architects or horticulturists so that they could better meet the society. So we have this thing based on Thomas' calculation, and then we have to put the diversity and then all the different architecture modules. So this is that sort of hybrid class because of the MIT support that we could run, where our architects are actually very good ecologists, where our urban planners talk to the people to minimize maintenance costs, which is a big thing in the actual running of the place. All right, so these are the various strategies that we put in. And at the end, what we deliver is the engineering part or the wetlands. This is according to Thomas. And then what the students get is actually sustainable design that is really, really environmentally friendly. And from Thomas' perspective, is very low in maintenance for the commune or municipal councils. All right, so I've overcome my fear. So now when I look at all these models, they are real. But more importantly, we guide them in terms of pollination, in terms of diversity needs, as you have the increase in urban intensification. So that is that bridge that comes in. And when you have a pollutant problem, you call up the phytoremediation together with your symbiotic organisms in order to do the best job for livability. All right, so this is my last slide. It should be women as well. Swedish is very balanced society. It should be nature, men and women in harmony, all right? So this is one of the best little things that I have for everyone, is that actually everything is still the same, but what I hope I provided for you is that you have new eyes to see, all right? And lastly, my wife is here. She's always worried that I always spend time away from home, and whatever good research we do, we have to not forget the weakest. So why did I embark on earthworms, and why did I help Naslin for her Bangladesh thing, is that for poor countries, a lot of high-tech solutions that we talk about could not serve them. I gave him everything. So my wife asked me, what happened to your consultancy money from the Queen's Charity? I actually gave it to them so that at the end of my field trip and data collection, he has a better life. So what we have done is that we introduced that high-end earthworm program. We customize it for Myanmar. And actually, Myanmar is in a very bad shape at the moment, especially for the Rohingyas at Rakhine State, because I was there personally, living in them. It's terrible to bathe in brackish water, and you have to be naked, you know. For the kids, it's okay, but for me, it's hard to be naked, but everyone is naked in a community. Thank you very much.